since 622 AD. And we need to have individuals that stand up and say that. And then you went on to say that.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever...
I definitely have a question.
you're not asking a question. You're just reading a statement. Now,
sir,
I'm going to ask you... No, I'm going to... No,
sir,
because I know what you're trying to say. All due respect to you, too. Have you ever read the strategic memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood that was written in 1991 by Muhammad Akram that was found in an FBI raid in 2004?
There's a very specific flavor of embarrassment waiting for anyone who walks into a room and challenges a guy who's already read every page twice. That's exactly the lesson about to land on this confident young Muslim student in a packed university hall.
I study international relations over here at Boston University. I've staffed elections, worked on elections, worked in campaigns, worked in courts, worked with Homeland Security on countering violent extremism initiatives. So I'm a patriotic American who wants to go into public service to serve this country. Now, once you know that about myself, I just want to bring up something that you've said in the past that I was hoping to ask you a little bit about.
Watch him open with the resume, international relations, work in counter-extremism, basically strolling in with a diploma where most people would bring backup.
Any previous campaign event that you've had, let me just pull this up right here. You once said, and I will quote, "We already have a fifth column that is already infiltrating into our colleges, into our universities, into our high schools, into our religious aspect, our cultural aspect, our financial, our political systems in this country. And that enemy represents something called," and I quote you, "Islam. And Islam is a totalitarian, theocratic political ideology. It is not a religion. It has not been a religion since 622 AD. And we need to have individuals that stand up and say that." And then you went on to say that...
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever...
I definitely have a question.
You're not asking a question. You're just reading a statement. Now,
sir,
I'm going to ask you... No, I'm going to... No,
sir,
because I know what you're trying to say. All due respect to you, too.
Then watch the pivot. He starts firing West's own old quotes back at him, banking on the idea that hearing his own words might throw him off balance. Problem is, that trick only lands if the guy's ashamed of what he said. West clearly isn't, and he's about to lean into it harder, not away from it.
Read the strategic memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood that was written in 1991 by Muhammad Akram that was found in an FBI raid in 2004 in the basement of a house in Northern Virginia.
Yes, I have, and if you were the Constitution of Medina. The Constitution of the Medina was the last document that Prophet Muhammad put out before he passed away. And
did you ever read the Treaty of Hudaybiyah?
No, but... Sir,
I mean, we can go back and forth on historical documents.
Sir, with all due respect, sir, I haven't even asked my question.
I know, that's why I'm waiting on.
So let me ask you the question. So, you've called Islam a theocratic political ideology.
Okay.
So my first question...
So what is Iran?
So my first question is, how do you define a religion? And from there on, what makes Islam not a religion in your eyes? And then from there on, are you suggesting that American Muslims, such as myself, are not worthy of religious protections and religious rights as enshrined in our Constitution?
I did not say that.
So explain to me how...
Rather than get rattled, West goes straight for the paper trail. The Muslim Brotherhood's own internal memo, the Constitution of Medina, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. That's not a talking point, that's a footnoted argument. The student's attempt to steer the conversation back to define religion suddenly reads a lot less like strategy and a lot more like backpedaling.
As a matter of fact, I left my house plenty of times to go over and fight in Kuwait and Afghanistan and Iraq for the ability for an individual to have freedom. But if you want me to sit here and deny history, if you want me to sit here and act like some things have never happened, I'm not going to do that. I do not have the onus to, make a statement about what is fact. Okay, we can go back and we can read the Quran, we can read the Hadith, we can read the Sunnah, we can compare it up with history, and we can see that there was a definite departure from a basic religious belief in 622 AD, and you can see the verses, how they changed. And I understand Islamic jurisprudence, and I understand the Arabic term nakish, which means subsequent verses of the Quran supersede the previous verses, but they're all still the verses of Allah as given down to Muhammad. So what I'm trying to tell you is when I look at the Islamic Republic of Iran, when I look at Saudi Arabia, and how interesting it is that Saudi Arabia was just put on the Commission for Women's Rights when they have the greatest violation of women's rights whatsoever. I have a problem with that, having two daughters, okay?
But it doesn't stop there. West's just getting warmed up. Bring up abrogation, the idea that later verses cancel out earlier ones, next to real concerns about how women are treated under regimes like Iran and Saudi Arabia. And you've got an argument that doesn't dissolve under a one-liner. You can practically watch the tension build in the kid's shoulders as the seconds tick by.
I will tell you this, I'm happy to work with you, but I think we need to come to an understanding that there is a problem. And if you want to continue on, as we just saw current administration, last administration do, with obfuscation, denial, and dismissal, I think one of the worst things that President Obama did was when he stood up there in August of 2014 and said, let me make myself very clear, ISIS is not Islamic. Well, I don't know what the I stands for. It's not Southern Baptist, it's not Mennonite, it's not Presbyterian. So you have to take the enemy for who they are and what they say they are doing, especially when the leader of the caliphate of ISIS has a PhD in Islamic studies. So I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to take him for who he is. But I will tell you that I thank you for standing up and doing what is necessary, just the same as I thanked those interpreters and translators that stood there with me fighting in Iraq and fighting in Afghanistan. But if there's to be a change in the Muslim world, if you want to call it that way, we need the young people to stand up. And the sad thing that we have not done in the United States of America, we have not stood up with you, just the same as the Green Movement in Iran, just the same as we misread the Arab Spring, just the same as we stood next with the Muslim Brothers.
Then the conversation takes a political turn. West actually throws him a compliment here, acknowledging his personal effort, right before pointing out missed opportunities like the Green Movement in the Arab Spring. Moments the wider Muslim world, in his view, let slip away. A pat on the back, immediately followed by a punch to the gut.
We have made some very bad decisions. And I would
With all due respect, sir, you have not answered my question. What defines a religion and why is Islam not a religion?
Religion is
Because in
man-made
your
dogma.
words,
No,
Islam
no,
is not
look.
a theocratic idea.
Since
Very
622
nice talking
AD,
point
since
you've given me,
622
sir.
AD, it has not reflected itself as being a religion, but yet it can still call itself a religion. That's the whole purpose of, like I said, the theory of abrogation. But we have got to understand that there is something that is happening that we need to work together to dismiss. And when I see the Organization of Islamic Cooperation that does not understand that there is a problem with Islamic jihadism, when I see an organization like the Council for American Islamic Relations that are, doing things to shut down free speech and shut down people that want to talk about this jihadist problem, then I see them more a part of the problem than a part of the solution.
Do you believe that Muslims are not condemning terrorism when they're the largest victims of jihadism and terrorism?
Well, I tell you something, if they were condemning terrorism, we probably wouldn't have as much terrorism.
And this is the moment the whole thing falls apart. The student tries once more to drag things back to his original question, and West just restates his 622 AD argument, then finishes by naming the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and Care as the institution standing in the way of honestly confronting jihadism. The kid showed up with a script. West walked away with the final word. And if you think that's the whole story, it's not. Because it turns out this wasn't West's first time putting a cocky young debater in their place.
Lieutenant Colonel West. My name is Yasmin Yunus. I am a junior here at Boston University. I'm also a Muslim and also an Iraqi American. I just have...
This time there was no polished setup, no academic framing, just pure emotion pouring out across Boston University's lecture hall, and everyone in the room felt it land instantly. But nobody was ready for what came next.
So on June 10th, 2013, you tweeted, Bill Cosby said we should be more like Muslims. You mean honor killings, beheadings, suicide bombings? Hope you're kidding, sir. I was just wondering, what makes you think that I, a young Muslim without a violent background, is more likely to commit an act of terror or violence than you, a man who spews hate speech, slanders my religion and my people, and admitted to using improper, unlawful, and downright disgusting interrogation tactics during your time in my home country, Iraq, which violated Articles 128 and 134 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Yep, and I got... Way to go, guys. And I paid a fine of $5,000, and I retired from the United States military. Let me tell you something. When I have a responsibility for the lives of 600 soldiers under my care, I'm going to do what is necessary without hurting anyone else severely to make sure that my men come back to their husbands, to their wives, to their children. Because when I stood before all of their families in that pre-deployment brief, I made that promise. And I don't run around talking about being proud of what I did. But if I had to do it again, I would. And if I had to take an action to save you, I would as well. So that's what I want you to understand. And maybe one day you get to grow up and you be a combat commander and you have lives that you're in charge of. Now let's talk about the other things. I want you to stand up. I want you to fight. We've got this thing going on right now in the United States of America about female genital mutilation. I want to see more people stand up and speak out against that. We got a young lady by the name of Linda Sarsour who has talked about female genital mutilation and also Sharia law. But yet she's getting an invitation to go give a commencement address. I don't think we should be rewarding people that have those type of beliefs. But yet we have a person like Ayan Hirsi Ali that we don't allow to go on college campuses and speak. So yes, I'm going to kind of put my finger in your chest, and I want you to stand up, and I want you to fight. And I want you to start joining with us to correct the things that, as you are saying, is perverting your religion. Well, then let's find out how we can keep this from continuing on and happening. I don't want to see another...
The student digs up an Old West tweet about Bill Cosby, swerves into accusing him of hate speech, then throws in his own military service in Iraq for good measure. That's three completely different arguments crammed into one breath. Mashing a celebrity scandal, a hate speech claim, and a combat record together is a lot like trying to win chess by flipping the board. Ambitious move, not exactly a clean one.
That was my last duty station. The fact that I live in a country where government still calls that workplace violence, that's disgusting to me. The fact that we have San Bernardino or Orlando, the fact that you had what happened here in Boston, and we had a magazine that put that person on the front cover. I don't want that to happen, and you should be speaking out about that as well. So you can be upset about some of the things that I say, but I'm going to continue to say it because you know something, I do have a right to free speech. Yep.
All right, hello, sir. I know I thanked you earlier, but again, thank you for your
It's
service.
what we do, man.
You're an amazing individual.
Nah, God's amazing. Nah, well, Tom Brady's pretty amazing, too.
So I want to start off by saying my personal belief is that if you give someone something, then you can't take it away, whether that be marijuana, whether that be something down the line.
Are you trying to give me some marijuana?
Whether that be down the line of food stamps or other benefits, such as you mentioned under President Johnson. But I'm going to bring it back, since we are around college students here, and talk a little bit about financial aid. Mm-hmm. So right now you're seeing college tuitions going way up, way up, way up, way up. And
well, y'all got a 3.4% increase here? Yeah. 4.
Mm-hmm. And basically...
Oh, let me get it right. He's part of the administration. No, I'm just kidding.
What I'm wondering is, if we continue down the path, and I receive financial aid as well, if we continue having the government supply financial aid and keep allowing these schools to demand as much as they want, how do we get out of this habit of saying, stop raising tuition when the government's just going to supply
you're absolutely right. It's Pavlovian. Funds. I mean, when you continue to get the largesse...
This is where the video quietly reveals what it's actually about, because at this point, it stopped being a conversation about Islam and turned into something bigger, a pattern you'll spot everywhere once you notice it. The second someone criticizes a belief system, an institution, a pattern of behavior, it gets received as a personal attack instead. That's not exclusive to this lecture hall. It plays out in group chats, on college campuses, at every 10th Thanksgiving table in the country. And right now, it's playing out right here.
She said, well, how do you think I can effectively use a degree in women's studies? But and then her thing was that, well, maybe I can just come back here and be on the college campus and continue. That's not what we want. We want people to get out into the world and get that experience. And maybe you can come back into the college, but we want you to have that degree system that allows you to go out and be a contributing member. And I think that right now what we are doing is we're feeding money into this thing called financial aid, into our colleges and universities. And let me tell you something. I went back to my old alma mater, University of Tennessee. Sir, I got to tell you, the Student Athletic Center, I would have never graduated. I just would have stayed in the Student Athletic. I mean, they're building a new university student center, all of these things. But what are we doing for the right type of majors, and what are we doing to make sure that we have the right degree programs so that we're getting these productive students to come out? So I think that we're going to have to sit back and look at what are we doing? Are we setting up our students so that they can go out and be successful, or are we burdening them with this enormous amount of debt, and they're going out into a private sector, or they're going out off campus and they don't have the jobs that are necessary for them to be able to pay off this debt and take care of themselves. So that's a big thing that we're going to have to look at. And I got to tell you something else. I mean, you know, some of these professors getting a lot of jack out there. I mean, Elizabeth Warren got, what, a couple $100,000 for teaching one class. Am I right? I don't know, something like that, close. I mean, I'd like to get a couple $100,000, you know. Hey, can I get maybe $20,000 just for being here tonight? I mean, I don't know. No, but I'm saying is we have to start going back and look at these things. And so that's another one of those systems.
Which is exactly what makes West's answer worth paying attention to. He stays just as consistent as he was in round one, drawing a clear line between the person and the ideology. He isn't attacking her. He's pointing at movements that operate in plain sight, with their own writings and their own goals, and arguing that ignoring them helps nobody. Same logic as discussing organized crime without blaming every kid in the neighborhood, or calling out corrupt politicians without assuming every voter's complicit. Not a complicated comparison. Somehow still a lightning rod.
We have got to refine. If you go back and remember Jimmy Carter, we had health, education, welfare. And then they split them out into 3 different government agencies. And you think about in the late 70s, what the budget for the Department of Education was then and what it is today. Just look at that. And then ask yourself, has the standards and the quality of education in the United States of America improved or decreased? It's decreased. And so the mentality, and I can tell you this, I was up there where the sausage is made. The mentality in Washington, D.C. is that if we throw more money at it, that's how we solve the problem. But when you throw more money at it, and then the next year you throw more money at it, then you get exactly what you say. The universities say, oh yeah, we can raise it a little bit more. Because you know what? We're going to get it from them. Because, let me teach you a little something. How many folks know the difference between baseline budgeting and zero-based budgeting? Okay, a couple of people. I need you guys to study that. Because what the federal government in the United States operates baseline budgeting. Every year, when they go into a budget cycle, there's going to be an increase in spending. When they talk about and say that they're cutting spending, they're only cutting the rate of the increase. They're not cutting the spending. What everyone has to do in your lives, universities, whatever, is what's called zero-based budgeting. You start from zero every year. You have to validate and justify every program. And I think that's one of the things we need to be doing on college campuses and everywhere, is validating what are the successful programs. Is this meeting the mission and the task and purpose of Boston University or wherever, so that we are being good stewards of the resources that we receive. But that's a big change. I don't care what we do as far as tax reform in the United States of America. If we don't have spending and budget reform, they will still find a way. You know what I'm looking for? When they come out with a value-added tax and this border adjustment tax, that's 2 different types of taxes that will get pushed down on American citizens. So I know I kind of got off the rails, but we got to do something on these campuses and curtail this financial aid that is coming, and it's being wasted.
And that's the takeaway once it all comes together. Twice in this video, West gets hit with a challenge dressed up in emotion and personal stakes, and twice he responds with the same level, methodical tone, never once matching heat with heat. Agree with this politics or not, there's something worth respecting about a debate style that never has to raise its voice to make the point stick.